Hello, my loves. My name is Danielle Sutty, and this is Pain to Joy. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you from my whole heart. How is your heart today? My heart feels thankful. My heart feels full. I got to see a friend yesterday and her family briefly outside. And although they brought me the most kind and generous gifts, the biggest gift was seeing them, hugging them, just looking at their beautiful faces in the reel was so wonderful. And what stuck with me as well were the 2 cards that I received from them. One from a little guy who is so wonderful and so beautiful. Heart stickers all over the card, heartfelt words. That card will be right beside my bed as I heal, as I am having laparoscopic myomectomy tomorrow, January 19th. And something that struck me in the card that my friend wrote, I'm not going to get it right, something about, may I get back to my amazing self. And as I say that to you now, I feel emotional because I am a pretty amazing self. And you are an amazing self. But these last few months, this past year, a lot of the time, as tears stroll down my face, I have not felt amazing. I have not felt like myself. And so those simple words remind me of how others see me, reminds me that I am amazing. And I know I'm amazing, and I know that you're amazing, and we all have amazing qualities that make us us. But when we don't recognize ourselves because of health challenges, because of caretaking, because of work burnout, whatever it may be, it can be really grief-filled because I didn't know that these tears were going to stream down my face. So I just want to say thank you to my friend and her family. Thank you to anyone and everyone who has provided support. I was on a call a week or 2 ago to try and get a better deal for my Wi-Fi. And the lovely young lady, Angelica, we were chatting, and at one point she was able to give me a better deal. I shared with her that I had the podcast. For whatever reason, I shared that I was having surgery coming up. I think I mentioned it because I was doing my best to get my finances in order, etc. And she was so kind and so lovely. I appreciated her positivity, her energy. And when I mentioned the surgery, she said, I will send prayers. I will pray for you. And I receive those prayers. I receive any loving kindness, any positive vibes. And I'm so appreciative. So thank you, Angelica. A week ago, or just under a week ago, I attended a Qigong at Spring Forest Qigong in Calgary. And the leader is Erica. And she's so wonderful, just this bubbly. When I think of her, I think of smiles and sunshine. And I got there a couple minutes late, but right on time, because there was a big circle. And I sat down, and people were saying their name, and they were setting their intention for the session. And it's an hour long, from 10 to 11 a.m. So 2 people before me said their name, and then it was my turn. And I said, healing energy. And I've never been there before when there were so many people. There were, I think, 22 or 23 of us in total. And the energy, the loving kindness, the unconditional love, the energy in that room was with me for days. And afterwards, I made a video. The sun was shining. And I was sharing how wonderful it was to be in that session. And then I mentioned in the video that I had this upcoming surgery and that I will welcome and invite any positive vibes, any good vibes, prayers, And I say that again here because I believe in the power of energy. Sometimes I forget, but the reality is it's all energy. There have been multiple people in the last couple of weeks that I've been thinking about, meaning to write, meaning to connect with, thinking about them, sending them good energy. And they have all written me or messaged me and said, I've been thinking of you. And so I've been thinking of them. Which brings me to intention. Because just like in that Qigong circle, what was my intention was to connect with someone, share love with them, tell them how I've been, but that's been a bit overwhelming. But the intention was to share energy with someone. And like I said, the people I've been thinking of and sending energy to have reached out to me. And at the beginning of this calendar year, there's been so much online, on social media, different techniques and rituals and everything from manifestation workshops that people have been doing to having lives about, let's talk about our finances, let's talk about our social life, let's talk about our wellness, mental, physical, all the facets of our lives, and let's figure out how it's going to be this year. And I'm going to be honest, I've thought about it, but what I wrote down a couple of weeks ago when I first intended on recording this podcast was intention. I will share a couple of rituals that I enjoy, but at the end of the day, as much as I could spend time and energy planning out, this one woman was incredible. She takes a couple of hours to herself and she looks at the different facets of her life and where she wants to be and the goals that she has. And then every Sunday she dedicates time to that and checks in with herself. And as cool as I thought it was, my first thought was, for me right now, that's completely overwhelming. But the spirit of it is intention. And I had written down a couple of weeks ago around New Year's time. I didn't realize I had. I found it yesterday as I was packing. Different things that I want to experience this year. And if I was to look at overall the intention or the energy, it's to be healthy, to be strong, and everything else comes with that. So I'd love to have more speaking engagements. I would love to share about how to live a joyful life amidst the pain. I would love to share self-compassion practices, self-nourishing practices, and mindset practices. Perspective. On a stage, in a group, at a retreat. I would love to do more travel and be able to be more active when I do so, but all of those come from my original intention, my original energy of, I'm going to have surgery tomorrow. And yes, there's a potential 6-week recovery period, but I want to get stronger. I want to feel strong in my body. I want to recognize myself. And once I get stronger, I can spend more time with my friends. I can spend more time with my family. The young man who was here yesterday is big into basketball, and I can't wait to be able to go and watch him play. Right now, when I go watch my nephew play hockey, I can stay for a few minutes and then I go up to this quiet room, which sometimes isn't quiet because there are other teams up there doing their practice lunges and all the things. But it's quieter than the rink and the loud music that they play, which is really good music often. But if my intention is to get stronger in my body, in my soul, in my heart, in my mind, then so much good will come from that. And so rather than get bombarded by a million different rituals, maybe just pick one, pick an intention for the year. Another thing I love is to pick words. A few years ago, I think it was via Robin Sharma. He's an author, and I feel like he wrote The Monk That Sold His Ferrari. I think his practice was to choose 3 words for the year. I think I chose 5. I have a hard time narrowing things down. So for a few years, I would choose 5 words. And I would have them on a Post-it, and I would look at them every night before I went to bed and every morning when I woke up. And a friend of mine left a message a few weeks ago, and she said she didn't know why she said it. She's a lovely soul. Discovery. So she said the word to me, discovery. And I was going to write it down on a strip of paper and stick it on my fridge, and then I didn't, and then I went to do it again, and I still haven't. But that word keeps coming to me. Discovery. So maybe that's my word. So big thank you to my beautiful friend who shared it with me, sending her love and appreciation. There is a ritual that I do enjoy, and I haven't done it yet, but I believe that every day is a fresh start. I don't believe that we have to wait until December 31st or January 1st. Also, we have our calendar new year, we have the lunar new year, then we have springtime. I know a lot of posts were going around, which I agree with, that the dead of winter in the Northern Hemisphere is not necessarily the time to revamp your entire life. However, what I appreciate about all of the, let's call it propaganda about the new year, it gets me thinking. So I made a very intense list for my financial advisor. We had an important chat on Friday. That's been in the works for a few weeks. Around New Year's, I wrote down things that I want to experience in this coming year, but that might happen this year or the following year. Just things that are kind of almost, some of them are maybe bucket listy, but so many things in my life that I've wanted to experience I have, but there are things that are left. So I'm writing those things down, but they're mostly experiences. And really, even as I say that now, I feel it in my heart. When I think about joyful experiences I want to have in this moment, my whole heart space opens up. My whole heart space gets warm and fuzzy. And I truly believe that the more warm and fuzzy I feel in my heart space, in the morning when I wake up, at night before I go to bed, throughout the day, the more I will call in warm and fuzzy, joyful experiences. The more I will connect with people and have warm and fuzzy, joyful feelings whilst I connect with them. So before I continue on that, I will share the ritual. You write a letter to yourself dated 1 year from today. And you write it to yourself and you provide as much detail as possible about all of the things that you experienced, all of the things that you did in the previous year. You can write to yourself how proud you are of yourself for accomplishing XYZ. You can celebrate yourself for all of the things that you've overcome in the past year. So you write the letter as though it's a year from today. You celebrate yourself. You love yourself. You feel into the experiences that you want to have. Maybe this year you want to begin a business. Maybe this year you have a child on the way. Maybe you really want to go climb Kilimanjaro. You write down in your letter gratitude to yourself, and you can even write how it felt. Wow, I felt incredible when I got to the top of that mountain. And the idea is you write this letter and you put it away. You put it away for a year, and you put in your calendar, in your date timer, in your phone, to open this letter 1 year from today's date, or whatever date that you write it. And it is incredible to see what has come true, how you can actually feel, or you did feel the feelings that you intended on feeling. So give it a try and let me know how it goes. This has been coming into play big time for me right now. I have a Post-it note on my mirror in the bathroom that I read whenever I'm in there, and it talks about how I have received the best care, the most compassionate care team. I feel heard and understood. Everyone is focused and on their game. We all believe in the most comfort and ease-filled recovery possible. I read it and I read it and I read it, and I feel it and I feel it and I feel it. And even though the surgery is tomorrow, I am envisioning, I am feeling into the most positive outcomes. And one might call that scripting. And I actually have here a script that's by my bed that I wrote a while ago, then lost, then found again. This is something I read before I go to bed at night. when I wake up in the morning, first thing after I meditate. I'll read you some of them now. Everything I need comes to me with perfect timing. Solutions find me effortlessly. The best outcomes always manifest for me. Amazing things are always happening to me and for me. The universe supports me in every way. My life flows with ease and grace. My life is filled with an abundance of joy. Everything I desire is making its way to me. I trust that life is unfolding perfectly for me. And when I read that, I feel it. Just like yesterday, I was about to go for a walk, and I don't pay for Spotify, so who knows what songs are going to pop up. And a song that popped up was Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. And I started singing, and I love to do Snapchat karaoke, so I will video myself in selfie mode singing along or lip syncing, and I used to always send those to my sister-in-law, and we'd laugh, and I still do it, even though she doesn't have Snapchat anymore. I find a way to send it. And if you're not familiar with the song, the lyrics are, don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is going to be all right. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is going to be all right. And in that moment, I filmed myself and I sang and I felt that. And then I thought, I'm going to put this on my stories. I was thinking of putting up a post I had written about how much I believe in energy, and I fully am open to receiving other people's positive healing light and energy for the surgery, for my recovery. And I haven't shared it yet because in this season I've found it challenging to share, but also challenging to respond to people, challenging to be there for people in ways that I would like to. But I thought, well, this is perfect. I'll just put this up and I'll share good energy and I'll receive it back. And then I went for my walk. And as I was walking back, I saw my neighbor. And he started chit-chatting with me. I haven't seen him in over a year, maybe 2. He was talking to me about how prices are going to get higher and higher in the neighborhood, which is great because I would love for my home to appreciate, especially having had a conversation with my financial advisor on Friday. And he's showing me different places and around the corner and here, there, and everywhere. It was it was fun. It was unexpected. It was a bit of a whirlwind for my brain. And then I came inside. And then a few minutes later, I took the recycling out. And so my neighbor's name is James. So then I go to take the recycling out, and this guy comes in and kind of startles me. And all of a sudden he says, oh, do you know who owns the red Jeep? And I'm thinking, actually, James. And this gentleman says, oh, I'd like to buy it, etc. So I said, oh, let me just text him. He's texting me right now. And his name was also James. And he lives in the building, and he is a construction foreman, I believe. He's keeping an eye on the construction on the building. He was saying it should have taken a lot less time than it's taking. He gives me his card. If I have any questions about the construction, perfect. But I don't think either of those interactions would have happened had I not been calm, had I not been light, had I not heard that song and truly believed, as I believe it now with my eyes closed and my hand on my heart, every little thing is going to be all right. And it makes me think of this quote, everything works out in the end, and if it hasn't worked out yet, it's not the end. Meaning, surgery going smoothly doesn't mean that I might not feel worse after or have a tricky time the next few days. Everything being all right just means that I'm going to get the best care, no matter what. I had a not great appointment pre-op with an anesthesiologist. I understand he probably feels he was being realistic. I felt as though it was very negative. It took me a few days to process it and get back on track with my mindset of trusting and knowing and believing that all will be well. But the one positive thing he said when he walked out the door was, "You have a great surgeon." And I thought, if this guy, who's quite ornery, is going to praise my surgeon, that you better believe I'm going to believe that he's a great surgeon. And I know that he is, and I trust that he is. So again, this idea of every little thing is going to be all right does not mean that every little thing is going to go perfectly. Just like in life, it means that you have the resilience and the capability to flow with, to roll with whatever comes. So I want to remind myself of this. I want to remind you of this. I also want to remind you that you are more powerful and more capable than you realize. And I remind myself of this as well. Some people have reached out and shared, "I know that you're going to be okay because I know that you're strong. Everything's going to work out. Tutto andrà bene," in Italian. And I fully receive all of that with my whole heart and my whole soul. I feel so lucky. How lucky am I? Which is another phrase that I say often. When we walk around the world saying things like, "How lucky am I to live in this beautiful home? How lucky am I to have friends and family who love and support me so much? How lucky am I to be able to have access to surgery, to have a great surgeon, to know that I'm going to get great care. I'm so lucky." And so as much as there can be negatives or setbacks in our lives or things that are bringing us down, I will admit I've been frustrated at times with the construction, the loudness. I have some upstairs neighbors who are lovely, but I don't think they realize how loudly they're walking around. I think there's something amiss because I've never heard people above me in the 13 years that I've been here. I'm trying to figure all that out. But even with that, even with the challenges and frustrations of this uterine fibroid that I am evicting tomorrow, Patat will be evicted. I had wanted to have a party for Patat and say bye-bye. Au revoir, une fête, a party. I have not had the energy or the wherewithal. So even though I haven't had proper sleeps and I've been getting woken up, and even though I've woken up every day the last week feeling like my bladder is going to explode and knowing that I'm not getting good rest and that's affecting my hormones and affecting my relationships, how lucky am I to be alive, to be talking with you right now, to be sharing my heart. Yes, it has been challenging and I feel as though I've been very honest about that. How lucky am I to be here, to share my experiences with you, the good, the bad, the ugly, the painful, the joyful. I am so freaking lucky. Because it was quiet when I woke up this morning, it's early, I was going to meditate and I thought, it's quiet, it's Sunday, there's no construction. I haven't heard my neighbors thumping around yet. There's no dogs barking. And I was thinking about a speech that I did years ago. It was a Toastmasters speech. And I had been listening to Jonathan Faust, who I love to listen to. He has a podcast on Apple, on YouTube. And he sparked in me this idea of, if there were 3 things you wanted to tell people, it was your last day on earth, what would those 3 things be? And I chose, forgive yourself, forgive others, and choose how you want to live. And so earlier in this podcast, I was talking about intention. And that's it. That's how you're choosing how you want to live, by daily setting an intention, yearly setting an intention. My intention is to get stronger, to feel healthier in my body, to experience more well-being. And what comes from that is doing all of the things that will allow for that will ensure that that happens. And setting an intention isn't magic, even though I believe in magic. if I set this intention, it might not play out the way that my mind wants it to. This strength that I speak of, this healing, might take 3 times longer than I envision in my mind. So I invite you to not be attached to the outcome. I invite you to trust that the intention and then the actions behind it, daily actions, you'll get there. Now I know some people love a 75 hard, which I believe is a fitness program that is also amazing, I'm sure, for your mindset. And you go hard for 75 days. And you transform physically, but also mentally, probably spiritually. I've learned that intensity is not for me. It might be that my journey to strength and well-being takes the next few years to get to where I want to be. My brain is still healing. I have to remember that. Just because I'm going to have surgery and it's going to alleviate some of these symptoms, and hopefully I'll get much better rest, which then affects all of me. So my intention is to get stronger and to feel well. And I will introduce little by little exercises, habits that I already do now, but I will reintroduce them as I recover. Meditation in the morning, qigong, journaling. I have a cup of immunity every morning, which is garlic, ginger, lemon, freshly squeezed if possible, honey. Sometimes I throw a peppermint tea bag or a green tea bag or both. Might sound gross, it's delicious. Love to add some turmeric, black pepper. I have not been permitted to have turmeric this past week. That's been a wild ride that I didn't get into, but I will definitely share more another time. May we take the pressure off of ourselves to have a whole new regime because it's January. May we close our eyes, as I'm doing now, and place our hands on our hearts. Take a breath low into the belly if that feels good for you. And start to feel into what your intention might be for this year. Maybe there's more than one. And take time to journal or reflect upon, what do I need to remove from my life to live more in that intention? And what can I slowly add? This isn't add 25 new exercises to your routine and regime every day. This is little by little, what can you add that's going to bring you more joy, help you achieve a goal, allow you to rest more. Whatever that intention is, my heart is with you. I believe in you. I believe that if we set an intention and we little by little take aligned action, we will be living a life that is aligned with our intention, which then feels like a life of our dreams. And please know that I, in this moment with my hand on my heart, am so thankful for you, for your loving listening, for your love and your support, for any positive vibes and healing energy, good vibes you choose to send my way. And I am sending you love and peace and comfort and ease for whatever blips or bumps might happen in the next few weeks, and reminding you that you are strong, that you are resilient, that you are loved, and that every little thing is going to be all right. Please feel free to connect with me on Instagram, Danielle.Sutty, Facebook, Danielle Sutty, TikTok, Danielle Sutty, and you can listen to this podcast on YouTube. You can email me at dksutty@yahoo.ca. It always thrills me to hear how an episode landed for you. Maybe you can let me know what intention you're setting for the year. I'd love to hear from you. Sending love. Until we meet again.